Hello and welcome to the skating lesson. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Jonathan. This is a very interesting week of this and that. It's been raining. There's been all sorts of competitions. Skating crept up on us. There's lots of things happening. I think it's a really interesting week to talk about skating.
Yeah, I forgot how this goes sometimes because suddenly there was like so much to watch in such a short period of time. And true to form, almost impossible to figure out how to watch it in many ways.
Watching it on VK, the best thing to do with VK. For those, by the way, this is this and that. If you're new here, please subscribe below. Smash that like button. If you want to watch something on VK, I recommend getting the Google converter for the language for translating to put the extension on Google Chrome and then just go Russian to English. It's the same way to read Sports.ru. And if you do that, it's really easy to register for VK, whether you support a Russian social media site is another thing, but if you want to watch the skating, and sometimes they have like US nationals and whatnot. So it's just a way to watch everything. And I just want to make
it free aware. Or what? I couldn't figure
it's free. And the it's like figurka is like the channel, and the letter, like the F in Russian, is like the one that's like the O with the line through it. It almost looks like a music note, right? So that's just, I would do that translating. And when you look up figure skating, I always go back and forth between the languages to find everything. So that's how I do it. And that's what I would recommend for VK. So there is a lot going on.
Yeah, I had never heard of that website before. I mean, I was doing my usual thing of like hunting down Twitter, some clips on Reddit, some on YouTube. Yeah.
It's hard. And the Lombardia was super hard this year. So it doesn't make it easier. Not great for skating in general, but I was actually going to go to Mid-Atlantics last night. And then with the pouring rain, then there was like bad traffic going into the city. It was a mess. I went skating yesterday morning and I drive over an hour and like the bridge was closed. And I wound up like having to drive towards Bear Mountain. And then there were like, for like 2.5 miles, I was on a single lane dirt road. And I was like, I feel like this is gritty. Like right now, this is some
things you do for skating. Yeah.
Okay. This is some crazy stuff. It is quite the weird week. But I wanted to skate because I'm getting my program done this week, Monday, Tuesday. So listen, Karen flew in from Europe and we're doing it. All right. She's doing it.
Now is the time. Yeah.
Now is the time. It's go time. So I'm trying to be really organized this year. So when you can get your program done, it's like you got to do it. You got to figure it out right now.
You got to drive down that dirt road.
You got to drive down that road and you got to do it. All right.
Okay.
you have to do it, Jonathan. But I did take Sandra's advice and I saw Oppenheimer. And again, I've wanted to see this movie and I've had so many friends like that I would see it with, but everyone's like, it's 3 hours.
So what? So are the amount of shows I'll end up binging when I say I don't want to watch a movie. Yeah.
I went on a Thursday night because it's so hard on the weekend to make plans with people. And then it's like disappointing if no one wants to go, right? So on a Thursday, it's like, I can go by myself. I felt like a strong, independent woman. I went to the theater and I thought I was going to be the only one there. But then there was one other woman who was about my age. And we were like on opposite rows of the theater, fully engrossed. Sandra was not wrong.
I have no doubt. It's one I still really want to see. Yeah.
You got to do it. You got to see it in IMAX if you can.
Okay.
And I think it's really cool. Like they timed things really well. I don't want to spoil stuff, but it's so fascinating. And you think the explosion is going to be the ending, but it's not. So it's really about so much more. And
the aftermath, of course. Yeah.
When they test the bomb, the movie theater shakes because of the sound. It's totally intense. You have to do it. It's so good. It's so good. Okay. The fact that it was even like paired with Barbie, which was like, in my opinion, more marketing hype than substance, is like offensive. But I have seen both. I saw Mission Impossible. I feel very accomplished. Now theater camp. Let's go. All right. Also, I was doing my ice bath this week and I was listening to a podcast, and Tiffany Thiessen from Tiffany Amber Thiessen from Save the Bell was talking about doing ice baths and how she does it all the time.
While you were having one. Okay.
Well, and I was like, we really are the same person. Similar taste in men. My first crush was Zach Morris. It's all good. Looks like I thought she was like a human Barbie doll as a kid. I mean, gorgeous. We loved her on 90210. Yes, absolutely. She had some, she dated some clunkers We've dated some clunkers.
Amazing.
Yes.
The connection was real. The connection was
real.
Okay.
All right. I digress. Jonathan, what in the hell do you make about Daniel Grassl? Imagine you're, first of all, this boy, he went to Eteri during the war while this doping case remains unresolved. And, anytime it's brought up, people are going to comment, did the US team get their medals yet? And they always spell it with the T instead of the D, which is a pet peeve. But it's always like, no, we're talking about the Valyeva case, which means, of course, they didn't get their medals. The case has to be resolved.
In fact, we're denied audience at the hearing. Yeah.
So I haven't gotten a chance to touch base with Christine, but she was planning on going. So, yeah.
Fascinating. Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing was, of course, you had Olympic athletes weighing in, and they're like, no, with WADA, you're literally checking in every morning. And when we were watching like the Carolina or not the Carolina documentary, but about the boyfriend and all this sort of stuff, like you see how on top of it they are and how often they do it. So it seems absurd to think that this was just, whoops, I forgot.
And he didn't miss those tests when he was in
the US.
US. And here's the stupid thing, whether or not he didn't update it or they ignored it, right? We don't know for sure yet. But here's why he's really not an intelligent, or I don't want to say intelligent, but not with it, right? And I think we already knew he wasn't with it because he already made that decision to go to Eteri and to do that. And I was talking to Olga about why he left the US, and they were saying, they wanted him to do all quads because they thought he had the potential and he wanted to play it safe. And he also had never lived away from home. He was used to his mom cooking for him. And then you go to Eteri, and maybe she, takes care of everything. Who knows, right? But I think in this situation, it's really fascinating because okay, you're going to the home of the Kamila Valyeva doping trial. It was the biggest thing of the last Olympics. It's like putting a giant spotlight on you, being like, please drug test me. Please drug test me a lot. And that's what WADA did. And you missed 3 of them. And the other thing is they contact you when you don't. So they call you. Did you not have your cell phone number? And I don't know if there's a follow-up email, but typically in life, like if you missed a meeting at work, you would get the voicemail and you would get the email, right? So are you not checking? And if I missed 1 drug test, I think I'd be sweating. Remember, that's how Kyoko Ida ended her career. She had enough of WADA coming early and she was just done, right? So you kind of have to wonder, hello, you're at the doping capital of the world. You allegedly, you are in another country, which people find very suspicious. People are already chastising you for going there. And then this happens, right?
Yeah.
Not a great look for Eteri.
No, it seemed completely avoidable because again, it wasn't a one time. Yeah. One time you can use all the excuses that are being used. 3 times is obviously very different. Yeah. And, listen, it was never my skating aesthetic, what he was offering. However, like there was something back in the day very earnest about him, and he was doing good things for Italy and like trying these jumps and all this sort of stuff. But he's lost any goodwill that sort of the fan base, I think, had for him. It's bad.
And now it's just going to be really rough. Yeah. So, yeah. And he could be suspended for up to 2 years.
Right. So maybe not a bad time to be Matteo Rizzo. Yeah.
Or Frangipani.
Yeah.
Who's training at the cricket club. And we saw Brian Orse, who just had hip surgery. So, yeah, just crazy. Just insanity, right? I mean, I was asking everyone, if you missed 1 drug test, how much would you be freaking out?
The anxiety level of that, yeah.
3, and think about like where he was in Novogorsk while they were coming.
Right.
And typically the way that this works is if you're in the US, like, and I remember Fleur Maxwell explained this to me. She's like, I'm from Luxembourg. She's like, I'm also not a top ranked skater, right? She said, so if if they want to test me, it would be USADA that would test her on behalf of
I
the
see.
organization. So was RUSADA trying to test him? Because if RUSADA is trying to test him, then that is like, is this some conspiracy business?
Right.
It's like that conspiracy theory guy that like acts like he's involved in some Valyeva thing that no one's ever heard of. And when people ask him, he doesn't provide any documents, yet he responds all the time on Facebook. Yes.
Okay.
He's, yes, anything about Valyeva. So
Okay.
yeah, it's fascinating. So this is a real situation. I think it's going to be very entertaining. And in the meanwhile, you know, Eteri has a 12-year-old doing quads. You know,
And then showed up at Lombardia.
What?
She showed up at Lombardia.
Yeah, well, you know what?
Why not? No one's telling you no. Yeah.
And why is she at Lombardia? Is this because she needed to run to Italy to do damage control? Like, why is she there?
Right. Really, to put Nika on the ice? Perhaps not. You know,
she didn't show her face for like my homie during the Olympic season if she wasn't skating well. So
but maybe, I mean, because she was there with the Georgian male skater. Like, I don't know if this is her also doing goodwill for the Georgian Federation.
Very loyal to Georgia right now.
Right now she is, yeah. And it's interesting. We'll talk about it. Like, between Lombardia and then the Junior Grand Prix, you can tell Georgia's making their big push.
They are.
They are making a big push. Also, randomly underneath the radar a little bit, Switzerland is kind of getting their ducks in a row. But
they
Georgia
have
really making a big push.
They have a skater who actually is switching to the US, was a triple axel, who is training with Olga Ganisheva and Alexei Letov. So that is one of those things. I found the Junior Grand Prix underwhelming this week. It was great to see a Ukrainian dance team win, and Minkyu Seo win in the men's event. Amina Kai
in the free skate, which was really lovely to see. Covered a lot of ice.
Big upgrade for him, because remember we hadn't seen that. Amina Kai, I find a very pleasant skater, but I'm not sold on the technique just yet or the longevity.
Well, okay, I'm glad to hear you say that, because like, especially when I was watching the short program, what I really appreciated about it, as we were talking about in our last show, was this idea that yes, IJS and the system can clutter the skating, but yet we see choreographers cluttering it further for seemingly no score result. And her the short program in particular, started so open and beautiful with just some few choice movements. And it was really, really nice. What took me out of it were that the jumps made me nervous a little bit. Something about them seemed perhaps not reliable at the moment, but a lovely skate for it nonetheless.
Yeah. And Elise from the US, you know, this is a skater that people within US figure skating are very high on. And this is the problem when everyone from US figure skating gets behind someone before there's a lot of real technical substance behind them.
Or full rotation. Yeah.
So she doesn't really use her edges and doesn't really have the skating skills. Like, she has a musical quality. I can understand why people like her. But unfortunately, it comes to the skating. It always comes down to, and when you look at the basic skating skills, it's not there. And it's really interesting because US figure skating, apparently they have packaging consultants for the juniors. And Jonathan?
Oh, I thought this packaging was very detracting.
And they think,
the skating.
And two different people did the programs. I'm not sure which one is which. They were both, I don't know. You could take a pick.
TV cups and all the stuff.
Let's break this down. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to skate to a Broadway diva, you need to be able to have some power and some push. And she doesn't. And you can see it on some of the home videos from the competition in Boston that she's just not covering any ice. So you can't tell it as much when you're watching it on like a camera that's zoomed in. But when you're watching this from afar, and if you don't know how to look at when people are really covering ice or not, she's not. So it means that the music is overwhelming her, right? Like, it's huge, right? This voice is powerful and her skating isn't, right? On top of it, we've got the cheetah jumps. She's not using her edges. There's not a lot of lean going on. Now, that's maybe the better of the two programs. Again, this is a Tammy special. You know, she looks like she's dripping in Lisa McKinnon, which is not a bad look, but it's very Tammy. the cheated triple. Triple is very Tammy, right? And we move along to the free skate. Is it the red violin that goes into Birdie? Jonathan, how do those two things go together? Like, how do you have that idea where you're like, yes, these two pieces of music, absolutely. And like, what is the theme of that program?
It was utterly confusing to me.
No, in Russia, they would say that is from the village. Okay, that is a program that is from the village.
Yeah, the problems here are with the packaging, with the choreography, and seemingly with the ability to rotate. Now,
which comes from the glide as well. Okay,
the state of skating in the States right now, is it merely that she did not implode that they think she has potential? Is that the allure? Because she did seem to stay focused through the program, but
they got behind Ava Ziegler this summer. Wasn't a good outing. They're not preparing these skaters, or is it that the skaters don't have enough like substance and consistency and mileage behind them before they put
before they're chosen, if you will?
Yeah, like that's a lot of energy and pressure and so on and so forth, and the preparation. So to me, it's really problematic. And then you have to wonder, someone like Eva Ziegler, like she competed, then she had champs camp. Now you have your international assignment, but are you now exhausted?
Right.
So they're not paced well, right? Who is running this show? Okay, I was rewatching an old documentary about Madison Koshin this week. It popped up on my YouTube, and Laurent Landy was there, who coaches Simone Biles now, and he was talking about when Marta Caroli was the national team coordinator, and he's like, you know, we won in practice. That's where we won the meet. You know, they didn't miss. They were a million times better than everyone. No one could catch up. You make that impression, you psych out the rest. Like, it was devastating. And I actually have to tell you, I think he's even wrong. Like, if you watch the warm-ups, these girls would do back extension rolls in unison and then like pike down. They won on the warm-up for the practice, right? Okay. Like, just that level of detail and that level of intense, focused preparation. And I see with a lot of these kids in the US, they don't have the skating skills, right? So Sasha and Kirk competed against each other again. I think we've talked about it a lot. Kirk, more athletic ability, Sasha, more well-rounded. Again, Kirk is losing to Sasha because he doesn't have the skating ability. And then again, then the jumps don't rotate, right? Which is also the technique, which you're trying to yank because you don't have the glide and the whole deal. So it's this problem, and they really need to address it, you know, at the developmental levels. Otherwise, they're going to keep losing because the skaters from Japan and Korea really don't have this problem with the basic skating. Right? Minkyu Seo, he's not having the basic skating glide issue.
Right.
So I don't know. And this is, you know, like, and it's almost like an epidemic in the US. There's just not a lot of great coaching going on. And there are good coaches that aren't in good positions because the ones that are politically elevated, a lot of them seem like hacks, right? So
we're more focused on that political game.
They send everyone to Tammy Gamble. Who has she produced? Karen Chen at 2 Olympics. Which Olympics do you want to emulate with Karen Chen?
Right.
And that's Justin's go-to girl.
Yeah.
How's that working out? You have Audrey Shin, who's with Tammy nominally, but she's with Tatiana Molina maybe. But again, she had a whole career of not rotating her jumps, and now they're trying to get it. So it's just very interesting to kind of witness, but it's a real problem in US skating. So this was...
Ami Nakai could not do a triple axel in her free skate if she did not have that knee bend and that edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she struggled with rotation a lot last year. She also had that Miss Saigon dress that looked like she bled over it. It was not a good look.
Yeah.
Also, the Miss Saigon edits, why are they never using the Paul and Nancy pieces? Like the interesting, big, good skating. Like we pick the most boring
Yeah, well, they always like to pick part of like the overture, which is very interesting, but then they seem to just go right past all of the hits, if you will. But editing was sort of another issue that was a nightmare across several competitions this weekend. Just before we leave the Junior Grand Prix, it was the Georgian pair that won. And I don't know if this is fair or not. I have some problems with that Georgian pair guy.
Okay.
Who ditched the former partner, and it was clearly very traumatic for that young woman. And now they just put him with a junior girl, and now they're doing this pair stuff. And I mean, some of the elements look pretty good, but I feel unsettled when I
unsettled watching Jeffrey Chen and the juniors too, and I don't know why.
Yeah. I mean, and their skating, I mean, in their free dance was lovely. Obviously, he had the mishap in the fall or whatever that was happening there. But yeah, it does seem these weird sort of like, now I'm going to go into junior, even though you're out of place a little bit.
But I think if you go into junior, you got to look amazing, right? And when I watch Jeffrey and the new partner, like, it's good. But in the words of Galina Zmievskaya, it's not wow.
There was quite a bit of that this weekend. Yeah.
It's not wow. We want the wow, Jonathan.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The wow is what we all wait for, and it seems to be coming less and less. Yeah.
So let's talk about ice dance in general, because especially in the US, although internationally there's this problem too, especially with the sibling teams.
Which are both Czech teams. We've got siblings M and siblings T. Yeah. Okay.
I'm going there. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But I want to talk about an epidemic that happens. First of all, the short male ice dancer epidemic is everywhere.
And widespread. Yeah. It's an international issue.
Right. Okay. And it's why these teams never work, and we spend the whole time, and I'll get texts being like, why don't I like the Italian ice dancers? And I'll be like, well, okay. So let's break it down. Should we go into size first or just ability first? Because none of these teams are matched. I can't think of a team in the world right now that's super evenly matched where you're not constantly looking at the drawback of one of the skaters.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you think about it, and like some teams get around this better than others, right? Piper and Paul, very nice. Again, he's very nice. She has
some limitations. Yeah.
She doesn't have, she's limitations in terms of extension and posture, right? Yeah. It's never been fixed. It continues to be an issue. And theirs is not a size issue, but typically when we have these problems, and what's so maddening is that they keep repeating. So I think it's really interesting if you look at Michael Parsons, right? They had a problem with the last thing because his sister got too tall for him, which is not her fault because, again, his height is height. They didn't find them new partners in time, right? But it always becomes a problem because when the girl becomes too tall, and it's hard to know if they're actually taller than the boy or they look taller, but you start to notice that, and I believe it's truly subconscious that this happens because, by the way, if we think that they aren't matched in size, they're hearing this in the rink from their coaches, the other mothers, everyone. Judges,
yeah.
They're hearing this constantly, okay? You start to notice, and I even see it when I watch Kristen and Igor, where like when they would skate together, and because Kristen's really tall, right? The girl will start to pitch forward slightly. And you see that, and it's like they break at the waist, and they do it. Green does this all the time, and then it doesn't look like she has a neck, right? Like it doesn't look, and remember, Natalia Dubova told us you want a long neck and you want it to be cold. The neck must be cold. That's how someone really like projects and looks like they have confidence.
Oh, when we were talking about it, you brought up a good point because you're cutting off the projection. Now, this is something I think, just as a human species are experiencing in the world of smartphones and technology. There is this constant down, and just underneath that curve of the skull where it meets the top of the spine, like no one seems to be up and buoyant in that area.
What does good posture project? Confidence.
Yeah.
What is skating and performance based on? Confidence, right? Yeah. So whether it's about the actual skating mechanics or not, when the posture gets pitched forward, the team is communicating that and often the female is the flower, right? So when you look at Caroline and Michael, Caroline doesn't look as confident as Michael does, right? Because she's slightly pitched forward. And this is not just her, this is a problem. We have this with Hawaii and Baker. We have this, right? both Czech sibling teams, by the way. I mean, did the junior champion, she looks like she grew since last year. This is now her problem. I really noticed it in the rhythm, actually in the free where they did the bad ballet. But this happens all over the place. And it's weird because I was asking Marie France about it, and she's like, well, once the team starts to get successful, no one wants to split them up. And then it just keeps going, right? So the problem, especially with these sibling teams, but in this situation with Green and Parsons, they split him with his sister and they replaced him with someone who has the same problem that the sister had, right?
And probably because it felt familiar to him. So it feels like it's a fit, but it's a fit because it's familiar. Perhaps.
That's what happens to the girl. Not only are they pitched forward with the posture, right? Inevitably, especially with Russian coaches, the pressure then becomes on the girl to lose weight to make it easier for the boy to lift.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Think about how many girls, because I don't want to name people specifically, right? Think about how many girls are a little bit taller than their partner, and then you see the eating disorders develop, where then they lose weight and then gain weight, and then this is like a never-ending problem, and then injuries happen, and then whatnot, and it becomes this problem. And it's like all of these teams have this problem right now. Which is not good for everyone. And by the way, when one partner is wildly better than the other one, everybody knows that too. So look,
the lesser partner included, of course. And how are you going to project that confidence then? Yeah.
Ian Somerville, I'm sorry, we needed to find him a partner that was like more on his level. He's one of the best dancers maybe in the world when you watch his skating ability, right? Like, I don't know, could we put him with Isabella Flores? Like, they could match, right? Is her guy going to get citizenship?
But again, what's fascinating you mentioned is that they don't, when they seem like there's a bit of momentum, they're like, uh-oh, it seems like we're definitely headed for the middle of the pack, and we'd rather have the sure middle of the pack finish than risk it all to potentially be all the way on top. But so many of these great teams that have like really been like historically important teams have had the guts to say, if I switch this now, I will skyrocket with the right partner. But that's guts.
Jonathan, we watched Hawaii and Baker do the Amelie program at Boston Nationals in 2014.
Right.
And everyone said, he is so good. Unfortunately, she's too tall for him.
Yeah.
Back then in 2014, that problem never got better. But think of all of the ups and downs that have plagued this team that stem from that basic issue that they weren't quite matched properly, but they were so good and junior world champions together, right? They're still having problems today that are related to that basic issue of the matching. And this isn't to shade them, it's to like look at what happens, right? Because no one is going to want to stop the train. And by the way, it's money for coaches. So if you're getting 140 an hour, you're not going to want to get rid of that team, right? So think of it that way.
Take those junior champions and then take one of them and re-partner them and make them senior world champions. You know what I mean? But I don't know if it's an inherent lack of belief also that can happen. And oh my gosh, we didn't mention it last week, but of course my favorite ice dance team of Angelika Krylova's split.
What?
That was sad because that was all the ingredients were there on the ice, but obviously there was some turmoil behind the scenes. That was
very sad about that, but
yeah.
Looks like I don't know, he didn't get a really great review. And that's
he certainly did not. Yeah, correct.
I'm really liking Kosternaya and the pairs. Listen, I know Oksana Bayul is going to yell at us saying that she doesn't care about the Russians. I'm sorry. I can't stop watching Kosternaya. I watch Dance Moms. I know that that's problematic too. Listen, all of skating is problematic. Listen, I can't stop it. Okay. One pair girls like, I think it's kitschy. I'm like, all of skating is kitschy. What are we talking about? Right. This girl has choreography. She has drama. She has talent. Maybe they're not on the good drugs yet because of like where they are in Russia. I love when the Russian journalists, like even the smartest ones will tell you, no, there's no doping in Russia. No, it's just terrible conditions.
Oh, okay.
They really like will tell you
at the hearing later this month.
No, like I'm talking like the very best journalists in Russia who seem like really with it. They like really will tell you like, no, there's no doping. No, only they'll be like, yes, well, the Valyeva thing, and I'm like, yeah, and what about the other girls? And they're like, No, what?
Rina's heart condition. Yeah.
Yeah. At least Raphael admitted it. Okay.
Right.
And then when I pointed out who Raphael was obviously talking about, people got upset that we pointed out who Raphael was obviously. This is how people get like very protective about skaters. It's like, the sky is blue. How dare you say the sky is blue? Okay.
Yes, that
To me, it looks cerulean. Okay. You can look at the Daniel Grassl. There's like the one very emotional person that's like, there's no proof yet. Like, meanwhile, you see the quotes from
3 failed tests. That's proof. Yeah. Or 3 no-shows. I mean, that's...
And, he's withdrawn from the competition. And yes, so people don't want this to be real. I understand. But yes, we do get the YouTube notifications. So thanks for watching.
Amazing. But
also, if you really want to make a point, and like you want to try to like reach me in some way, leaving a YouTube comment with the crazies is not the way to go.
Right.
It's not the place to be like having a
level-headed discussion. Yeah.
There's like one person that's like, I told you before what Truciva said, and I'm like, okay, this is not the venue. If you want to go into translations and the art form and what, that's an email. That's like a message. And by the way, how you write it will determine if you get a reply or not. Like in general.
Of course, yeah.
With tone, yeah. So, yeah.
Correct. I'm with you.
Ooh, just saying. Okay.
Now, I'm going to have the weird opinion. Do you? At Lombardia Trophy, I did very much enjoy and think it was a step forward for the Italian dance team. I know it is reminiscent. I know it is nostalgic, but if you are that...
Which program? Because the rhythm dance was a horror show. The rhythm dance...
Papadakis Redux program.
Okay.
Because for me, they have probably now, they got the silver medal, like whatever, but it was that weird, edgy, dark program. And so now they're doing...
Piper had to get cancer for that to happen, okay?
I mean, but so now...
He's doing great, okay?
If you are that team, what do you do? And I think Barbara's like, well, now we show them we can do soft as well. There were moments of great speed. There were moments of cool lifts and like unique...
By the way, she's too tall for him and too dominant for him. He looks like he is just along for the ride. She is in control. It's like reminiscent of Gregory and Petrikov, where who's like leading this show.
But what was interesting in their size difference for a while that I thought, and again, they'll all tell you, no, he's actually an inch taller. Okay, together, it does not seem...
Again, she's pitched forward. It's because it's too close, right?
Yeah.
When it's too close, she's already pitched forward, which is like glaring in that posture.
But what's also interesting is I felt...
But she's not shrinking. Like, she's pitched forward.
She used to like sort of like apologize for the amount of space she was taking up. And
it's like that Barbara Alpha energy, which again is a little uncomfortable because like, I mean, I get it. It's 2023. What are gender roles? But at the same time, it's like, she's dominating this team, like clearly.
I thought it let her shine a little bit more than I'm used to seeing from her. She extended certainly more than I am used to seeing from her. And I thought her lack of extension before sometimes was perhaps an apology for taking up space next to him.
Barbara, what the hell are those songs doing together in the rhythm dance? Call me, email me.
Rhythm dance was a tough edit. That was some very curious
costumes. Look,
like early 90s, like cut, new song, cut, new vibe.
We're watching Xanadu from afar. Like, what in the acid trip is this? I don't understand. It was not good.
And they were dressed like how Julin used to dress in the 80s. That's what I thought when I saw her outfit. Yeah.
Hard. Something that could have been so fun.
Yeah.
Right? Apparently, there are only 5 tracks from the 80s, and everything is footloose.
Well, that's skating.
Thank God for Marie France. Like, if Marie France didn't have taste, this is why she has all the dance teams, okay? She has all of the dance teams, Barbara, because you put those songs together in the rhythm dance, okay? Yeah. This is why. Dance is about packaging. And then when you see Matteo Zani give, the M sibling teams, the bad ballet redux that
I love them, so I want to make apologies for them, but this And it started with great potential. I thought like, oh,
They had much more potential last season. I don't know what happened in the offseason.
They're so powerful and enormous. And then it started with that cool lift rotationally when she's on top of him doing the
He's
swap.
a much better skater. His edge quality.
It wasn't working for me, unfortunately. I still like them.
Everyone is touching the boards and pushing. I'm like, do we need to ban this now because of the stupid rule that you have to be within like this close to the boards to this close, and now we're all touching the boards and it's getting.
There was one team. I want to find out in my notes. There was only one team. Oh yeah, the Czech siblings with the T. They were the only ones that sort of.
For the brothers always wearing the backless mesh in every color. Remember, we had the climate change program last year. I believe that was the blue mesh. Yes,
correct.
It looks very influenced by Cizeron. You know,
true to form. For some reason, at the start of their rhythm dance, there's like some audio about homelessness.
This team. I'm sorry, Jonathan. I'm not on board with this team. I can't. All right.
Yeah, I mean, she.
In the words of Renee Roca. What? What was the theme?
Oh yeah.
Or and we're also in the words of Renee Roca. I understand the theme, but why? Jonathan, she's not wrong. Okay.
She really does get it. She really does get it. But they were the only team in the free dance that didn't do this weird, like, pause, stare at the judges directly in the eyes while you're gripping the barrier in front of them moment. They just sort of came up to it, stopped, and then restarted. I appreciated that because this kitsch of staring down the judges directly in front of them is not a novelty anymore. Yeah.
You want to defend Green and Parsons?
You know, I can't. I didn't dislike their rhythm dance. I mean, I didn't love it, but I dislike all of the rhythm dances. But
all of these bodysuits are also like a little uncomfortable. Like,
well, and it's misogynistic because really, with the exception of Michael's arms, you were seeing like every female partner out there like practically naked. And then the guy is wearing something that also would have worked for a Swan Lake program. And I was like, how are these, what are we doing here? Is that the 80s? I didn't care for it at all. But the Green and Parsons, when the music started for the free dance, I thought, oh goodness, are they doing something more avant-garde? But it just kind of, I mean, obviously he had a technical issue and went down. But in general, like,
I thought the music was like academically interesting, but lacked heart and emotion. And dance is all about heart and emotion.
Plateaus.
Yes.
So maybe that would have been an interesting section of a program, but for it to just drone on, it sort of it lost its effect. And
no, I really think she needs to move with Nicole Pilates' YouTube channel going on because she is not holding her body in any. There's no arch in her back, which is also a problem with. Relating to music, but she's not holding herself in attractive positions in the lifts. And I notice this with a lot of teams, especially some of those Italian pair teams, right? Like it looks like a sack of potatoes when we're going up there.
Yeah.
Also, like, I think maybe some Sarah Conti could do some quad stretches if we're always hitting those very basic lift positions that we've seen 1,000 times, but you know, the quad muscle is like hanging. Okay, so I don't know, this Charlie situation, I think Ian looks great, but not going.
I liked this team more than I anticipated here. Like, I was like, oh, they're better than I would have just recalled them.
Is it a team if you're only watching one of them?
Well, I mean, like you mentioned, isn't that most teams at the moment?
This, to me, there's like a bigger differential in ability that I just...
And there's a lot of space between them. Sometimes like the dance holds are a little bit clumsy, but his twizzles are really, really lovely. I mean, he's got great speed. It's
throw him in solo dance. At this point, I'm so sick of watching these teams that are so mismatched. I think we could have the solo dance championships of the short ice dancing men. Okay. We can have John Luke, Michael Parsons, Ian, because you know we don't have a partner that lasts
Marco,
for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Marco. Paul Poirier we can put in there. Who else? You know, this could be a really great event. So this
I watched that event.
Brooke. Yeah. Sorry, Brooke, but these guys need to be in your event. Okay.
I'm I'm trying to think if there was any other dance stuff that really stuck out to me.
Oh my God, it all did. I mean, I thought it was like, I was like, wait, they're I thought that Arrival of the Birds was Happiness Does Not Wait for a while. And I'm like, well, they're essentially the same theme. I mean, they're actually back to back on my playlist on Apple Music.
Apparently.
Literally. No, Jonathan,
yeah.
not kidding. Literally back to back.
Okay.
And I'm like, but it's like the same mood.
Yeah. However,
I do my playlist by mood. Like I want it to be an emotion.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes. Yeah. That's the power of music. Because it can enhance or help me pivot out of a mood. Yes. But the best part of I think it was the Italians' rhythm dance was they let Marco kind of have a moment, and he goes down to the ice and does that huge kick and does this amazing squat, and you are so honed in, and it is so cool looking and so incredible. And then if you look behind him, I rewound because I was like, you are so impressed with him in that moment. What is she doing there? And she's literally standing on the ice going like this. And he is just like giving you the most.
I cannot defend this team anymore. Okay, people will talk about their pattern is good.
I mean, I would think if you're a caller, they make it easy for you. But and also there were so many errors here, so many falls, so many.
I'm still like traumatized by that, like the ending to their program last season in the free dance. I mean, this was just not my cup of tea. I mean, I appreciated it. Yeah, it was nice and boring. It was nice and boring.
It got the points.
Listen,
I didn't mind the free dances.
Marie-France, please get the Canadians on the podium. We can have chalk and
we're ready for it. I mean, they were definitely
2 Canadian teams. I will listen to how insufferable Canada will be if they have 2 dance teams on the podium. I don't care if we don't, you know, it will be get the vomit bag. Okay. Yeah, and a home world. I don't care. Over this team, it has to happen. All right. There's just like no one else. There's no one else. We have to just reclaim.
Yeah.
And Marie-France is saving the 80s theme, okay, from this horror.
Have we heard from Chalk and Bates yet?
I mean, they haven't called us, no, but I mean,
yeah. But I mean, do we know about their?
We've only said that he's been dragging her for years, but she looks great doing it, so I'm okay, you know.
She works with what she's got, yeah.
Is the best costumes, and thank God she's designing for other people. This is what
she look good in a lift.
She looks great, okay.
Huh.
And it's gotten better since they went again. They used to have the worst programs of all time with Igor, An American in Paris, that schlock. Marie-France with that Elvis program, she just turned it for us, you know. Right. Oh my God, the end of that Elvis, it just sold me on them. She was in the dress with the sequins and the
yeah.
And then she Matthew Caron. I mean, come on, Jonathan. This is a team.
Yeah.
Although I still don't understand what their free dance was about last season, but you know, we can just, it's in the past.
I felt like they kept changing it as they went. They're like, it's this, and now
remember when Tasha Grisham told us that like their program was about Gianni Versace, then it was about all the people that died in figure skating and their souls were living on. You know, it changed.
Quite a transition, yeah.
But Tracy didn't like it. I thought it was chef's kiss. Okay.
Well, you know, the most offensive one was to me because I was that viewer that was so upset after Lillehammer.
Milova was also too tall for her partner, and her posture in that Carmen was atrocious. Okay.
I mean, I kind of like a girl given face, but the Dick Button commentary about that is stellar. Yeah. It was when Christian Blacklock tried to do the ballroom, like to top what Torval and Dean had done in Lillehammer. And I was like, ooh, I would not invite that comparison.
Speaking of Dick Button, we were watching we've been going on the Tara and Michelle on TSL Live because we were doing Nagano, but I was like, let's go back and educate people who've never seen the programs or the fluff pieces, all these young people. And he said, and as he was talking, I was just thinking about like what Twitter would say, but all the fans that cry. You know, remember like the Indian dance team scenario, right? At the world. And that's the thing, like, because these people haven't skated on a session with like mismatched people, you don't understand like why that is
dangerous.
Like, yeah. But they don't understand why. And I understand wanting to give experience, right? But that is where it becomes a distraction, right? When you're moving at X speed and you're anticipating that all of the other teams are going to be moving at X speed, and then they're not. It's like a
right.
So thinking about Dick Button, when he's talking about Michelle Kwan when she's skating, and he goes, "That fall was unnecessary and uncalled for."
Totally uncalled for.
Can you imagine the people crying on like Twitter now? Meanwhile, we watch it and we're like, yes.
Yeah, because it didn't make any sense that it happened because we didn't know about all the blade and boot stuff that was
she
going
just like slipped off of the edge. But
yeah.
He was personally outraged there.
Yeah, okay. Offended that she did that intentionally to him.
Because we all loved her so much.
Yeah, okay. Because we all wanted her to win. Yeah.
But I'm sure she thinks it's great. You know, like when he's
yeah.
When Dick loves you that much, that he's that offended. Okay.
That invested in your skating and your success. Yeah.
The skaters never appreciate it when we're invested. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Yeah. I watched one of those documentaries recently where it was all like Dorothy Hamill and earlier. Ugh. It was like Sonia and Carol and Tenley and.
Oh my God, is it the one? Wait. There's one that's like ASMR and they're like saying really foul shit, but it doesn't matter. They're like, they could get canceled. It's a Diary on Ice. Wait.
No, this is it. We are talking about the same one. And every time I was like,
wait. JoJo Starbuck, Queen JoJo calls Trixie was rather large and statuesque in her own way.
There was so much size shaming. Here, wait.
It's constant.
Peggy was the worst.
Peggy is the worst.
Well, after I saw so-and-so, I had to do this.
Yes, she was so offended by how masculine the 64 champion was that she decided.
Named her that. And, yes. And I'm just like, as if we weren't gonna Reflections on Ice.
Reflections on Ice, Diary of Lady Skating. It's how they say it because they're in the soft lighting.
Yeah.
It's so well. And each one is saying like just really foul shit.
Same low down dirty things. Yeah.
And that's where Frank talks about meeting Sonia Henny. Oh, she was a star. That canary yellow diamond with the scarf. This is what skating is missing. Okay. These IJS skaters, they're like mules. Okay. They used to be stars. They had cold necks, Jonathan. They had posture. All right.
And Dick Button was the one saying that the manager convinced Sonia Henny to go with Dick Button to like one of the Olympics. And he's like, oh, and our agent had to like hire all of the photographers to take fake photos of her so she felt famous. Like,
listen, they make it seem so damn glamorous, right? You have to, I mean, it's the best. It is the best.
And Celia Coolidge, she is over it.
No. How about the one? Oh my God. I've looked her up. You know, there's a book about one of them, that the one that's really bitter about losing to Sonia. Celia was bitter as well. Fritzy, okay?
Yeah.
Read the book about Fritzy, who married the Japanese pearl heir. Turned out she was really Jewish, saved none of her family from in World War II. Yes. Whoa. The whole book is about that. It's a great read. Okay.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
About that. Wait. Think of that podium of cutthroat women. You've got Sonia. You've got Fritzy, and you've got Maribel.
Imagine that locker room.
That's a book, okay? That's like one of those Randy books about like the Kennedy women, where you're like, yes, I want to read about Jackie, Joan, and Ethel. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, okay.
But Coolidge was the one that was.
What is his name? Randy Tamaborelli, whatever. Yes, he writes the Michael Jackson and the Kennedys, and yeah.
But she was the one that came up with the label.
God, then didn't you ever get Vanity Fair delivered to your house and just be like, yes, before?
No, I was that other kind of young gay kid. I was into like the Romanovs and like all that sort of, and like the Habsburgs. Like that was my version of all that. I had to outsource it. Yeah.
When Vanity Fair used to come. Oh my God. It was incredible. Okay.
I mean,
those Dominic Dunn articles. Oh my God. All right.
Okay. That and Skating Magazine, those were the two you were
listen. They thought they're going to tell you something new about the Kennedys at least twice a year. You didn't know what there was about the Kennedys that you didn't know before. But if you go into old school Vanity Fair, not once Trump became a thing, it just went.
Yeah, they took their own path.
It became like every other publication. On
okay.
But before, it was really great. Okay.
Okay. Well, I remember when Life came, because Life magazine used to cover skating all the time, and they would do those gorgeous covers, like the Torval and Dean come back to just bring that full circle. Like they had an amazing spread.
Carol Heiss and family. Listen, I have a dream of interviewing Carol and the sister. Okay. I want to know how it really went down when the sister skated into Carol and she had to lose a season when she was against Henley. Could she have won those 56 Olympics if not for Nancy Clippeter, like she's Jill Treadery? Let me tell you, okay. Although I'm not my parents, but for dinner, but I have Carol's like original biography. Like it's this like yellow pamphlet. Oh, it's great. I mean, it is sanitized to everything.
But she was the one in the documentary. She was introduced to Sonia, and Sonia was like, "Everyone says you're the next me. No one's me." Like instead of being like,
Carol is a Tara, right? Carol is a Tara.
Yeah,
like that kind of personality.
Yeah.
Skate Guard released this like footage this week of the figures and the free at the 56 Olympics. Watching Carol and these people train figures 4 hours a day. They had skating skills. Okay.
Outside with the wind blowing and your limbs are cold. Like
something we've got to bring back the figures. These people can't skate. Okay. Yeah. When you watch Henley, holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, who had polio when she was a child? Like this was
polio and a cheated double axel, and that edge quality was so good. You understand why Frank clutched his pearls when he saw Maribel strike her leg because she didn't like her free leg. I mean, Henley, the Queen of the Ice. Frank was very sad about that, okay? Yeah. But if you watch that, and then in the men, you've got the Jenkins brothers and Ronnie Robertson. And was Ronnie Robertson held down because he was dating Tab Hunter? I mean, this is just a great era, okay?
Yeah. It had, and they were, like you were saying, they were stars, they were personalities, they were...
You have to say it with the Boston accent. They were stars. So, you know, they were.
Okay. Because they used to have a grocery store in Boston called like Star Market or something.
I've been there. Yes. Yeah.
And everyone would say to me, they'd be like, "Oh, Star Market," and I was like, "Are you saying words? I'm not following."
I don't enjoy the accent, but I'm amused by the accent. Right.
I mean, I was coming from Chicago when it was really bad, and so I sounded like an idiot as well. But I mean. I had no idea what was going on.
Listen, if everyone could just speak like they're from Odessa, it just makes me pee. So that's what we really appreciate.
Yeah, okay.
You really need to come to the Brewster Ice Rink with me one week to meet some of these characters. You know,
I can only imagine.
You know, I love to needle Yuri's wife about how I love to needle Yuri's wife about how Eteri got like the better roles in the show, because if you watch the group numbers from that ballet, she's the worst skater in there. Okay.
Well, and there is a fascinating thing where she was the ice dancer and yet she's coaching men, women, and pair. Yeah.
I don't think it's her technical ability is why she's coaching.
I'm correct. I think you are correct in that, because we watch.
She wants to win the most. I think that's clear, right?
And we know that sometimes that goes a long way, because we watched that documentary when she said she was like in the Oklahoma City bombing or whatever. And then she's like dancing around in that green dress in the spotlight or whatever.
Thank God she's back with this daughter that's going to be, oh my God, we needed entertainment. Last season was so damn boring. Can we be honest? It was the worst. Okay. I don't know how we got through it. It was not interesting at all. They seemed like really nice people competing after we had years.
Well, the men were bringing it less.
Yeah, but even that, like, who was going to really beat Shoma last year? It was just like a nice coronation, a nice victory lap. Now we've got Shoma, we've got Junhwa Cha, we've got Yuma, who's back. And then we have Ilya, who Ari Zakarian is going to tell us is going to be Michael Jordan. I don't know if I agree, but it's okay. So we have this all across the board. And I'm like, we've got a competition.
Right. Fine. Yeah.
We've got Kevin doing Bolero with the red gloves. You know, what is happening here, right? Like this is a competition. Like this just got interesting for me. This is
agreed.
Yelim Kim was at Evening with Champions. I posted on Facebook. She,
I
think it's her year. If that federation overtrains her again, right, overcompetes her, but she just looks like she has it more than Cowrie does this year.
I mean, I have to be honest, I was sort of hoping that for her last season as well. And obviously, you know, highs and lows throughout it. But so I hope, I mean, obviously she's learning and growing each season as a competitor also. So I hope it is all sort of like coming into place here. Because like, for instance, the women's event in Lombardia, like Gubanova, like we know what that is. We've seen it. It is what it is. And she can take advantage of the moments where she can. But the one that interested me here, actually, in a surprising way, was Hana Yoshida. I really liked her free skate. She's another one. She chose not to do 85 voguing moves in the first 10 seconds. She hold this consistent sort of like position with her leg arched up in the back, and then was repeating it thematically and like a series. Like, I was all in. I loved the music. She had that triple axel disaster, but I was really into the program. And that doesn't happen to me so much anymore, especially in the women's event. Yeah, I really liked it.
And the women's event, Isabeau was supposed to compete at Mid-Atlantics, but she withdrew. I mean, she has a senior B coming up. I mean, her practice reports are more of the same.
Yeah.
You can tell, I mean, this coach has another girl that jumps with the same back, that is the same way. And that's who the coach is promoting on her Instagram. Okay, this seems like a great environment, right?
You're kind of proving
I really enjoy how the coach, and like they've never, this seems to be going well, because this happens all the time. It happened at the World Arena, the week of the Four Continents debacle, where, when Isabeau falls and she just like lays on the ice for like 90 seconds, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Or sits on the ice.
That's not someone settled. Yeah.
But like, and here's the thing is that, like, US figure skating, it happened at their rink, okay? Whether they own World Arena or not, that is like the rink they're always at. This is, you're right?
It's home. Yeah.
Home. It's happening there, okay? They know about it, okay? So when we have the memoirs that come out, like Gracie's, right? Think about like what they do know about in advance, okay? Like, maybe not the best situation. And we even saw this in practice with Isabeau like last season at Nationals, right? Like things got a little, so, more of the same there.
And again, that's what they're comfortable showing in that public setting. So how is it even worse behind the closed doors? I don't know. Yeah.
Well, there was a dance team at my rink. There are many dance teams at my rink, so we can't specify which one was which. I'm just saying a dance team. There are dance teams, many countries, not speaking about anyone in particular, but I'm going to say this. They were going to a major competition last season, and the coach decided, remember, there are many coaches at the rink. It could be anyone, allegedly.
Could be anyone, yes. I'm following. This is very, very vague, Dave. Yeah.
The coach had the partner of one didn't have a partner. The coach had this skater skate with one of the partners, going to the competition, and made the other one watch for like more time. That's skating. Okay. That,
again, these sort of like tactics of like scare, intimidation, this sort of toxicity, like I think we are learning as just a world culture that there's a better way to get
in my opinion, that doesn't make anyone in that situation look good.
No, and you think about that anxiety and that sort of toxicity, it physicalizes.
Yes.
And now you are trying to be open and extended while your emotions are locking up your body and stiffening it up. I don't understand why certain trainers, coaches, whatever, don't understand that connection. That if you start berating someone, they will not now exude physical confidence in that run. Like, I just don't get it.
It's a lovely,
Yeah, but whatever they're doing with Yuma seems to be going. I mean, so can you remind me? I was forgetting what the actual injury situation was.
A leg injury, like he broke his leg last year, and then they tried to come back. But listen, his skating skills are so lovely.
The knees and the hips and the ankle.
Performance isn't there yet, especially in the short. But I am so sick of that "I'm a Believer" song. Like when someone skates to it, I'm like, oh my god, this is anyway, right. That
But the quad Sao looking gorgeous in both programs. You know, some issues. He pulled a Tanya Harding in 94, did the triple Lutz step double toe.
I like that they're adding the difficulty back piece by piece.
Right.
I don't feel like it's a Tom Z, let's throw in all Vincent's quads situation.
Right, we're already now. Yeah.
Like we're steady.
Yeah. They're in it to
win Lombardia. There's confidence. He, you know, hopefully made it out without an injury. We'll add another quad for the next competition, right? Like it's very steady, very methodical. I like that.
Yeah. And there was this moment in the free skate where he did attempt the quad toe, but popped it. But he does this triple axel, double axel combination. And I almost missed it. But right afterwards, there's some sort of like choreographic movement where his like hand or his fingers are doing like a little shimmery wiggle. It's like quite lovely. It's so, I don't know. I'm very intrigued to see how he progresses through the season, but I'm very hopeful.
Is he still with Lori? Because I was going to say that's like her magic. You know, that's
it felt like a bit of magic in addition.
Like if I get it wrong, we're going to get yelled at. So let me confirm right now.
Coming right up.
Choreographed, Rain in Your Black Eyes, choreographed by Laurie Nickel. Okay. Shaylin gave him the I'm a Believer, which I like Shaylin, but sometimes
it's different than Laurie.
Yes.
Yeah.
More of a Laurie girl.
Yeah.
Or a Sandra. You know.
Most. Yeah.
And Marie France. You know, it's just
on occasion.
I think that Shaylin is really good. Ashley Wagner wasn't the best skater in terms of skating skills, but Shaylin and Ashley had a thing where she brought out her performance quality to just knew the right vehicles and movements. She was the biggest star in skating like through 2016. And I think after she won the world medal and who knows health-wise or whatnot, and I think the Sweet Dreams was a great choice. But like that was like, she was the personality of all, you know.
And Shaylin knew to help maximize that fact.
Yeah, and like she did that with Nathan as well, and then Nathan with Marie France, like that same kind of showmanship personality. Yeah. Sometimes I don't think that there's the same level of emotional depth that I think some of us love.
It's gravitas. Yeah.
It doesn't have the gravitas, it has more razzmatazz. And then sometimes I think she gets a lot of skaters like an Ilya Malinin who's looking for some razzmatazz to mask other things, but I think she did a good job at improving.
Yeah. Especially given that they're not with them every day.
Jonathan, like I just want all skating to look like Michelle Kwan when she was on Instagram skating in that hockey circle, giving us the choreography like once a week on Instagram when she just like decided to skate when she had like 5 minutes to herself before she was in Belize. Now we get it from like she's rollerblading on a tennis court.
I'll take it. Yeah.
I'll take it. But like that to me is what I want skating to look like. That, you know,
knees, expression.
Hey, she trained the figures into what, novice? So yeah.
You know who did that for me? Andrew Torgashev in the short program. That step sequence was, and it's such an overused word, it was epic. Okay. I'm preemptively answering, that was my moment of the week. I mean, the quad Sao worked, the Lutz toe was great, the axel was good. But the step sequence, there were slides, there were innovative ways to get the physical highs and low levels that they're looking for, unique little jumps and leaps that I had never seen anyone else do in a step sequence where they can almost just, you can preemptively know the formula everyone will use. It was like a shot of adrenaline watching it to be like, oh my gosh, this can be creative and interesting. I almost forgot that it could.
Yeah, it was great. I have to, I agree with you. I really, and I think Yuma, Torgashev, like they brought quality to the men's. Yeah, and I love that.
Perhaps Mika Igadze did not.
It's what we expect from his coach.
I know, and you know it's terrible.
I often wonder, like, does she think that her aesthetic of skating looks good, or does she not care? Because I really believe that I don't think that the Russian fans know like the current ones, because like there's just like the
I think
national.
they're into winning, not the
Yes.
skating. Yeah.
I don't think that they really know, right, about like the root of skating and what actual even Soviet skating looked like, right? Back in, I don't think that they know that. Because they get very nationalistic and you're like, oh God. But yeah, I
can't remember if it was in your interview with Paul or if it was your interview with Debbie and Shepard when they were talking about like, it's not always supposed to be the winning program, that like so many of those great programs like were also in third place and fourth place. And these things were still these huge epic moments of expression that like got the crowd going and everyone was behind it. But now it seems just so result driven that they've just not even entertained the notion of giving us something emotionally or beautiful. Like,
it's horrifying. It's really.
It's when it's easy to tune out. It's easy to be like, oh, they're making it difficult to watch. Oh, most of these programs are going to be formulaic and the same. This is easy for me to just make another choice.
But I have a similar reaction when like everyone from Korea was just like giving you a unit program that you've seen 1,000 times and not as well.
Yeah.
Whenever it becomes that formula.
I don't want to see a formula. I want to see you. Yeah.
And in Japan, the choreographers give them a lot of like the soft, very nice music. And if you're not Mai Mihara with like more ability and personality, it becomes more of the same. So then Kaori is different, right? Or Martin Honda, right? Like this is Unsu,
or
right?
Even like a Yelim who then knows, okay, I need to switch up my formula. I need to break free from it. And so she did. Yeah. And the results are amazing as a result of that. Yeah.
See that Sandra and David program. I think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be good.
In the same way, I'm very much looking forward to finally really indulging in Lindsay's work with Sandra to see what she did there. Because again, it's an American ladies epidemic, like gangbusters, especially that Colorado crew. It's just like a factory of the same. And and it would be one thing, like Eteri's factory is producing winners. And to me, again, I'm not interested in the result as much as I'm interested in the performance itself. But we're a factory in Colorado of just mediocrity in some ways, of just basic level tastes, sort of like.
US figure skating has allowed that to happen.
Yeah.
Think about the people that even if we didn't love them or not, like think of who does Tom Z have now? Like he was pushed aside.
Yeah. I don't know. And I don't know if it's in that moment, like.
But listen, Alex Arashib told us, look at how the coach dresses themselves, and it will tell you everything you need to know about the skater. Think about Marie France in that trench coat. Think about how good she looked. Think about Tammy in that USA jacket with those dull, shapeless gray pants and just like generic black shoes. Like she's some sort of like school lunch lady librarian.
So here's this
with like hair that looks like it was just cut, not even angled at the bottom. That's who is coaching skaters.
That's whose taste you're now putting
in an aesthetic sport.
Right.
What are we not getting? Right? Like there's.
So when I'm teaching voice, one of the first questions is the teacher I like to ask the student, who are your favorite singers and why? Who are the singers you don't respond to and why? Because immediately it is informing me of their taste level. Do I agree with their taste level? Am I like, oh gosh, they like all the people that I cannot stand. I don't believe in that kind of approach. I believe in this approach. And what shocks me is they never ask me the question in return. And if you're the student, would you not want to know who your teacher or coach or whomever puts on a pedestal? So I'm curious if you ask Sandra who her favorite skater is and why, and she comes up with these John Currys or Janet Lynn's.
Oh, that's Janet Lynn, yes.
Ask Danny G who his favorite skaters are. Is he going to come up with a Katya Gordieva? Is he going to come up with some beautiful skater? Or is he just going to say someone that sort of clarifies exactly where his tastes lie? And I'm curious with a lot of those people, like, who are your favorite skaters? And do you believe that you're perpetuating that craft in your students?
One time I was rewatching a video and I saw Frank in the black turtleneck with the blazer, and think about how many times I wear a black turtleneck.
Yeah.
As a young child, I knew.
Exactly. We all responded to Frank for some reason. We knew that was always the classy option of some sort.
We knew it was, I mean, and Chen Lu doing the Rachmaninoff Piano Concerto No. 2, right? This was,
yeah.
And then you saw Arena in that Muppet skin, blue, teal with the feathers.
Next to a Lori program and next to a Sandra program, that program became.
And then, wait, and in fourth place, Maria, who had a cutout black with polka dots on the bottom, skating to an out-of-tune Malagueña.
Yeah,
you know?
and didn't bend her knees once. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I agree. So I think just as much as the visual aesthetic of that coach, I'm always curious, like.
Then you had Tanya in a scrunchie doing the Hunchback of Notre Dame. And then you had Nicole, who skated, well, maybe twice a year, but at the important times, and she looked like a fashion model. And it was like, yes, this was what skating was about. Yes.
Right. Okay. Yeah, the pageantry. I mean, that was clear in that documentary I was watching. I was like, oh gosh, misogyny like times 1,000. Yeah.
I know, but like, don't you think it was like the good times in skating as well? Like, it was also problematic, and it was like the best of times.
I mean, the result was very classy skating from both genders. Of course, I mean, this was also the era that all the men were in their tuxedos outside, you know.
I was watching Katarina Witt 1993 Champions on Ice, and Roz was commentating on the USA Network, telling us how great Katarina is. It was like before her comeback, she was jumping well. Oh, it was great. It was really something. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh man. Now let's talk about these Italian pairs. This was. So I had to take video for you because it was on VK when it wasn't on Reddit or this.
I did see the short programs because the short programs had ended up on YouTube, but it was the free skate with Sarah and Nicola.
You knew my actual opinions and the fact that this is more filtered, right? Like this is.
Oh, I'm very aware that and just for everyone watching, just so you know, when you're like, wow, Dave's very opinionated, like this is Dave through a filter, folks. Through a filter. So applaud him because there's a lot he's not saying. But the Sarah and Nicola.
You know, like, what do I not like, Jonathan? Pretending that boring skaters are good, right? That is
hard. So sometimes the best thing is to just avoid the discussion. So when certain people are like, why didn't you mention so-and-so? It's like, well, you might read between the lines in that moment because perhaps there was nothing appropriate to say. Mm-hmm. But Sarah and Nicola.
Remember when Kubanova did the Indian program? Like that, again, nothing nice, moving along.
Yeah,
so, okay.
Kubanova was also there. Next, yeah. Okay, but in all seriousness, that Sarah and Nicola fall was like stopped my heart. Like that was a very scary, like almost on the, you couldn't quite tell what was happening. But it was very scary. The strap under his boot came undone for the end. Like that rattles me in pairs more than any other discipline, how scary that can be in those moments.
Right. And I feel like they had the fall. Okay, let's put that.
That was at the end of the program. Yeah, there was much of the program that was.
By the way, there's a rumor that Amber Glenn and Sonia Hilmer, two of our favorites who are both doing well, collided. There might be concussions. There might be withdrawals of stuff that this went down. No. So this was like in the scuttlebutt at Mid-Atlantic. It's like coaches talking. So, all right. Moving to Sara and Nico. They got a medal. We're happy for them. It was very nice. Jonathan, we were happy for them, okay? Now, you know how I feel about schlocky Italian programs where we have like 5 choices to pick from.
Yeah.
And one of them is a Fellini.
The free skate music.
One of them is a Fellini.
Yeah.
One of them is Bocelli.
Yeah.
One of them is going to be a Chaplin, okay? All right. They have the same free skate.
The damn country invented opera. And they so rarely use it. I mean, they use the color.
It's like Valentina and Andre every season. And it's like the Italian dance team that won and didn't know to get the F out, right? Like, we got you that world. Go, right?
Yeah.
They didn't. Okay. But they gave us 4 more years of Italian programs. Okay. Okay. They didn't change the note.
Right.
Also, they let us know that they want this to be their Olympic short program. So get used to it. All right. These people are not original. Okay. They also don't have any transitions. Okay. None. And it's why they're boring. Right. They also don't really have a lot of personality. And she's in gray in the free. And he's in the white shirt with
the free came across as just sort of sleepy to me. Again, the side by sides are where they get it because they
did pop the axle, which it freezes on the video, but she did pop they did triple toe, double axle. The last one was, it's early in the season. Their jumps are really great. They're gonna,
I mean, that is for sure their strength, but also their spin synchronization was also very nice.
Yes. I just
find skaters. Yeah.
I find nothing interesting about this program. And on top of it, she doesn't have great lift positions, and they're doing the most generic lifts. And it's like, stretch your leg. You're against Deanna. Okay. Like, pull your leg up, girl.
Yeah.
Like, how you can't give that the GOE. I'm sorry. You can't. All right. You're against people that have, it almost reminds me, remember when like China first became big in pairs, and like you have like Shen and Zhao, right? And then you had like the Zhangs.
Yeah.
Who were the Zhangs? Yeah. I know that she like dislocated her knee at the Olympics and kept skating, but like the aesthetics of that team
were different. Yeah.
Hong and Wong skating together, right? But you know that there's a rumor that there's a new team in China, and like we need to find out if this is real. Because real pair people are talking about this. Remember, Han retired.
Oh, whom I loved so much, his skating.
Get over it. Sui might be skating with Jin. Okay. How will they look? I want to see that. I'm curious. Because remember, he was a little short with the arms. Remember when she would do lifts? Sui would look like she was resting.
You were referring to the single skater, Han Yan.
Who I love. Oh,
see, that's what I was saying. It's like, we didn't get over it. Like,
I mean, we like Sui and Han, obviously. He did good work. You know, he lifted Sui for years and, you know, through her. So we have to give him, you know, but that team was always about her. Let's be honest. Okay. Yeah. But sorry. Okay. She was the star. All right. We love her. We want her to keep going. Remember,
you know who else I think must love her is the Japanese world champion. Because I think each time I see them in a new program, it's more and more Sui. The packaging.
Remember, taste, good taste, good.
I don't blame them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they're giving you Montreal Julie Marcotte, singer-songwriter this year. I'm sorry. Okay, we're gonna have. They seem nice. Again, the Japanese team, lovely, nice people, good knees. Boring as hell. Right? I mean,
in my opinion, that's
she's constantly crying. I mean, and toe axling. It's just Bruno. That team is so damn boring. Okay, you're married to Megan. All right, can we please do something? All right, like
fire. Bring in the fire. Yeah. Okay.
There's no fire between either one of them. Like, what's happening here, Bruno? I'm sorry. Okay, you're married to Megan. All right. Ask KMT how much fire Megan has. Okay, like that's. They seemed really close, right?
Yeah.
Remember when Bruno told us Megan and Eric are best friends? I remember when he said that. I turned to someone. I go, "That's a crock," and then we learned that wasn't true. Like,
they started going coffee once a week and talking about their lives. Yeah.
2015, we were sitting in their house, and Bruno goes, "Megan and Eric are best friends," and I was like, I remember looking at Jenny, being like. And as soon as we got in the car, I was like, did he just call them best friends? Okay. Like,
amazing.
Okay. But you know what? Bruno has the best laugh. He can get away with anything. Okay. He'll just.
I always found him very handsome too. Yeah.
Very charming. He knows just.
The more I go gray and silver, I look to him as like for console. Yeah.
He'll be like, "Oh, Dave, how are you?" Yeah, he knows how to do
it. Amazing.
So I've called Bruno on the phone before. I'm like, Bruno, explain Ted to me. Does he know he's full of shit, or is this like a real thing, or like what's?
And what was his response? Did he laugh at all? Oh, Dave.
Very ambitious. You know, Ted cares a lot about the skating. I think he really appreciates that Eteri's winning. You know,
better him than Rod Black. Remember when we had to deal with him?
Wait. I loved Rod Black. Virgil and Moyer doing the big. No. Remember Canadian Nationals, every year I loved Rod Black.
Oh my gosh. And the Gogolev years when he's like, he's 14. And I was like, will you shut up? Like, get out of here. Tracy is sitting next to you. We do not need to hear from you. We just need to hear from Tracy. Thank you very much.
Tracy, and she is good at being a skating pageant. Hi, ISU.
Yeah.
Right?
Wait, there was somewhere I was going to go with that.
God, I love Tracy. I would let Tracy bullshit the hell out of me because I enjoy her so much.
Oh, speaking of commentary.
Little interest in Brian Orser, but I find Tracy to just be like, oh my God, I just want to do her edge class. And she wants Yuzu to take it too. I wonder if he took it when he did when he was visiting. Remember, she invited him. Remember? Hi, Yuzu, we miss you in edge class.
You in class, yeah.
And apparently people will be like, well, you know, that edge class is just a knockoff of what the Nexus Annie's Edges did, right?
Oh, fine.
We love when Canadians get
taught by Tracy, so I'd rather take
taught by Tracy in all of her wonderfulness. Oh my God.
What's been interesting, as you mentioned, Ted, is now they have Mark Henretti with
Mark knows how to play along too. I mean, Mark is in it to win it, and he knows how to
much more along. But Ted is also now opening up to the idea that like someone did leave some points on the table there. Someone didn't really rotate that jump.
Well, because Mark is a pleaser, but Mark is paying attention to Twitter, and Mark isn't going to want to be criticized. Okay, so Mark is going to play it up. He knew how to play it up in Sheffield, like those skaters were good. Okay, that was the greatest show.
Oh, in the reality show, yeah. I mean, I love Mark. So
there's this guy at the 7-Eleven where I get my coffee, and he's always like, I'm from Sheffield, and he's joking, and I'm like, I know Sheffield. Okay, like that is a hot mess worth revisiting. Yeah,
obviously referring to Maxwell Sheffield, the Broadway producer from The Nanny.
Yes. Okay. Also a great show. Yeah,
stellar programming. Yeah. I'm sure there's a skating episode in there somewhere.
The best is the Will and Grace skating episode when they go to Champions on Ice.
The Broadway event I went to this morning in the pouring rain was hosted by Eric McCormick.
Thought you were going to tell me Megan Mullally. It would have been more exciting, but you know.
Well, no, because we've established Megan isn't exciting, but Karen was.
Karen is very.
That's the difference. That was always her curse. Yeah. No. Skate Master, we have dinner. And then Rudy Galindo's on at the very end of it, right? Because he's like,
I got it. Okay.
Yeah, so funny.
And Jack was a Michelle fan. I think they had the correct opinions. Okay.
Yeah.
They were very mean to Michelle after the 2002 Olympics. They were very mean to Michelle when he was, going on that cruise.
And he's like, I'll be the saddest person on their cruise. And they're like, no, there'll be one more person sadder. Michelle Kwan. And then they
were like, yeah, the cruise seemed like a bigger deal at the time. Mean, okay?
Yeah.
It's not
as the fans still, it like stung even to hear the joke. Yeah.
Dare you.
Yeah.
Also, Sarah Hughes is like she got married. She's not running for Congress. Sarah has things going on. Okay.
She's not running for Congress.
Not running, but she still cares about changing, the world.
Oh, okay. Just not enough. No, I'm joking. Because she had announced she was running and then has decided not to, you're saying.
I think it was like a very uphill battle. And listen, to get into politics the first time, lots of people.
No.
So,
yeah.
Listen, at least it, and like, you know what? Not everyone is made for politics, and you want to pull out because remember, speaking about the candidates, remember when JFK Jr.'s older sister, Caroline, running, did she say, a million times? And they spliced it together. How many times she said, and it got her out of the race because they blasted her so much. They made a video basically like Meghan McCain saying, my father, my father, my father, my father.
Oh, God.
Father. And it was like Caroline being like,
Okay, got it. Yeah, no, I love that idea that some people want to change things and really help. That would certainly not be the way in which I would be able to do it.
Also, I watched the US Open yesterday, commentators. I love when Chrissy, because, Michael Shanley, who I dated, who I'm really good friends with, not one of the clunkers. He just loves that Chrissy. He loves Chrissy Everett. And like all my other tennis fans like hate her, right? But
that's funny. Okay.
And like I enjoy a Mary Carrillo moment, whatever.
But this is so funny because like when I go to Philly where I've done some of the shows from, they do watch like baseball and football and these sorts of things. So I will occasionally catch some of it. And their commentary also will drive me bonkers when it goes so vapid. Like suddenly, I'm sure it's paid promotion, but they're like trying about what they're eating, or they're trying to make like casual chit chat. And I was like, I don't need new friends. I'm just looking for your technical analysis. Or
Like about tennis, it doesn't try to be for the everyman at all, Jonathan. Okay.
Yeah, nor should it be.
You can go buy a $25 grilled cheese sandwich at the Open, and it's like basically like watching Reflections on Ice, a diary of skating. Okay, that's what the U.S. Open feels like. Okay.
Yeah, it's like an elitist Disney World.
You know, it kills all of those people how they feel about the fact that like all the African American tennis players are winning. Like, you know, that there's like a level where they would be like uncomfortable with the Williams sisters. And yes, you know what? We enjoy listening to how uncomfortable they are, as they should be.
Well, get over it, folks.
Get over it. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Coco winning was very exciting. I also love that underdog moment. Except yeah.
Anyway, the other Italians skating to Dracula. You know, there's no posture in sight. They are more interesting inherently. The
music also that much more dramatic, Phil.
Someone has to be interesting in the pairs. We've got the Japanese skating to their music, right? We've got Sarah and Nico. Like, thank God.
What happened with them in the short program where there was like a costume deduction?
Yes. A whole mess. Yes, a whole mess.
Yeah. And also, you know, always nice to see my former love, Matteo, where he's out there.
Still in his bodysuit, you know, like one of those girls at Ice Dance, right?
Yeah, it's just the law of the
ISU. Girl, Barbara was in the Kiss and Cry with him. I was excited for you there.
Yeah, do you think she's doing like team leader stuff, or do you think she's actually working with them? I was unfamiliar.
Maybe she's giving her artistic point of view. You know, his programs have never been his strength, and Barbara's packaging has never been hers. So you know, she always had a lipstick that never quite went with her hair color when she was skate. You know, it was a harsh.
Together now, she is. Talking about like
great.
One of the most like fashionable, elegant women out there. And
but when she was staring at her partner at the 2006 Olympics, what was she wearing? Okay,
yeah, it was definitely a Halloween costume-esque.
Do you feel, you know, with the I Will Survive free dance costume when he also dropped her, did it clash with her hair color? You know, was it, Jenny has taught us a lot.
Much back then. Yeah, it was very, that specific brand of red.
Well, you know, we've been watching, you know, the old skating, and a lot of the former Soviet countries have these really strange blonde dye jobs. And Jenny will be like, oh, well, there's no toner in the hair. That's why it looks like that. And you're like,
oh, interesting. Okay. That's the kind of commentary and technical analysis we're looking for. That teaches. Yeah. Okay.
Remember when Gracie went to that competition and she didn't get her roots done? And Jenny's like, that's why she was going to bomb.
It just tells you the commitment level wasn't there. Yeah. I don't know about these things, but I mean, sure.
You know, after Julia Lautova, I have to say, after Julia wore those Victoria's Secret sweatpants to, you know, the Philadelphia competition, she has been dressing much better this season. Okay, she's really gotten it together. Lindsay got with Sandra. Julia's maybe picking up on these Zoom calls with Sandra. She's absorbing, right?
Sandra, you can step it up a notch. Yeah, yeah.
She's doing the most. Okay, this is. So your moment of the week was.
Andrew Torger's step sequence, 100%. I mean, there were many nice moments, but that was the moment that got me the most riled up in a nice way.
Do you want the nice one or the real answer?
I mean, both.
The nice answer was seeing Yuma Kagiyama back with those knees.
That is nice. Yeah.
Right. It was nice.
And with Carolina, I guess they're sort of like.
Well, yeah, because, you know, I think with Lori's health issues, she's not on the ice as much anymore. And I think Carolina like works with the skater and interprets.
Okay.
As she should be. I mean, that's another.
Pay it forward. Yeah. That's lineage.
I mean, the real moment of the week. Daniel Grassl getting with the Eteri. Come on, Jonathan, come. Couldn't happen to a nicer person, right? Like,
exactly the right time as we're like the U.S. is being denied entry to the hearings about someone from that camp doping. Yeah.
Where's Christine? You know, like.
Maybe she's in the air. Maybe she's.
She was covering the Open. I mean, does she know that Daniel Grassl missed 3 doping tests with Eteri? She'll soon find out, right? Like that's a great detail. You know, that's hoping that should look sexy, everyone.